The party had the careful looseness of something meant to look easy. Streamers taped slightly crooked, balloons gathered in the corner, where the ceiling fan wouldn't bully them. The cake sagged a little in the middle because I'd rushed the icing. I told myself that was charming. 10 was old enough to notice flaws, maybe that was the point. My sister arrived late, as she always did, with a flat, rectangular box tucked under her arm like paperwork instead of a present. She hugged my son lightly, kissed my cheek with a precision that felt rehearsed, and said she'd had trouble finding parking. Her smile held and didn't reach anywhere else. I told myself not to read into it. We'd done that dance for years, polite, contained, nothing sharp enough to bleed. When it came time for gifts, the room tilted toward him. He ripped paper with the earnest violence of a child who still believed surprises were safe. Socks, a book, a plastic drone. Laughter rose and fell. Then he picked up my sister's box. It made a sound when he shook it, paper sliding against paper. He frowned, tore the wrapping, lifted the lid, and reached inside. He didn't scream. He just froze. His hand came out too fast, as if the box had bitten him. "What's this?" he asked, and his voice did something unfamiliar, thinned, stretched. He was holding a folded document by one corner, like it might be dirty. I crossed the room without thinking. Snatched it from his hand. The paper was heavier than it should have been. The words arranged themselves slowly, like a sentence you don't want to finish. A seal. A name I hadn't heard spoken in years. Dates. A filing number. A phrase about custodial rights that didn't belong in a room with balloons. My blood went cold in a way that wasn't dramatic. It was practical. My body deciding what it would need to survive the next few minutes. Everyone went quiet. Not a gasp, just the absence of noise. Even the kids seemed to understand that this was adult silence. The kind that required space. I folded the document back the way it had been, creased it harder than necessary, and slipped it under the stack of plates on the kitchen counter. I smiled, a reflex trained by years of keeping things moving. "Okay," I said. "Cake time." Someone laughed. Too loudly, grateful for instruction. Plates were passed. A knife found its way into my hand. I cut the cake crooked. My son watched me with a new seriousness. As if I'd just done something important he didn't yet have words for. My sister didn't help. She stood by the window, hands folded. Eyes on the backyard where the kids chased each other through a maze of chalk lines. She looked relieved, not pleased. Relieved, like someone who had finally put down a weight. I leaned close to her, low enough that only she could hear me. "Why here?" I said. She didn't turn. "Because it was the last place you'd expect," she said. "And because he deserved the truth sooner than later. He's 10. I know. For years, the secret had lived like a box shoved into the back of a closet, never opened. Never thrown away. We'd agreed not to touch it. We'd agreed on a version of events that required less explaining, less pain. I had told myself that protecting my son meant protecting that silence. But silence, it turns out, has a way of growing teeth. I ushered the kids into the backyard with cupcakes and games. Pressed quarters into palms for ice cream later. Made promises I knew I'd keep because I always did. Adults clustered in the living room, talking about school districts and weather like we were all actors who knew the scene but not the lines. In the kitchen, I pulled the document out again. The ink was still calm. Official, it didn't accuse, it stated. That was worse. My phone buzzed. A missed call from an unknown number. Then a voicemail notification. I didn't listen yet. I didn't need to, I told him. Someone asked from the doorway. A neighbor kind. Curious. Not today, I said. My sister finally looked at me. You don't get to decide that anymore. There it was, the shift, not loud, just undeniable. 20 minutes later, the doorbell rang. The police were not what I expected, no urgency. No raised voices, 2 officers, one older, one younger. Both with the careful posture of people trained not to escalate living rooms. They asked for me by name. They asked to step inside. The kids stayed outside. Someone put on music too late. The cake sweated on the counter. The older officer explained, gently, that there had been a report. That the document was part of a larger file. That they were here to ensure safety while next steps were discussed. He spoke like a man who had done this before and would do it again tomorrow. My sister handed them a copy from her purse. Of course she had one. She'd thought this through in a way I hadn't allowed myself to. Am I under arrest? I asked. No, he said. Not today. The words landed without judgment. Just time they asked questions. I answers I deferred. I watched my son through the window as he ran. Tripped, laughed, got back up. 10 years old, whole, still allowed to be. When they left, the house felt larger, emptier. Like something essential had been removed along with the noise. Guests filtered out with murmured apologies and offers of help. I thanked them all. I meant it. My sister lingered last. At the door she hesitated. I didn't do this to hurt you, she said. I know. I said, surprised to find it was true. She nodded, satisfied with that. And left. That night, after the candles were blown out and the plates stacked, my son sat at the kitchen table swinging his legs. Am I in trouble? He asked. No, I said. You're not you. I considered lying. Considered the old reflex. Then I didn't. I'm dealing with something, I said. But it's my job, not yours. He nodded. Accepting that in the way children do when they trust the floor will still be there in the morning. Later, alone, I thought about power. How I'd mistaken control for care. How keeping quiet had felt like strength until it wasn't. The secret was out now, not with fireworks, with paperwork, with uniforms. With consequences that would unfold slowly, and without spectacle. There was no victory in it, no collapse either. Just the steady work of living after truth. And in that quiet, uncomfortable space, I felt something I hadn't expected at all: relief.